Well, welcome to our webpage, to our new third edition of our practice guidelines. The guidelines have been prepared by a group of almost 30 of our psychologists, and we're really looking forward to you engaging with this new edition and seeing what you think of it. First of all, a word on where the guidelines fit. Our Code of Ethics is the main document in the Society that governs how we practice as psychologists. It's the most important document. It's, if you like, the top of the pyramid. It's being revised, and it's going to be a simpler document, it's going to be a more enduring document, and it's going to have the high-level principles and values about how we practice as psychologists and how we work. It's going to govern not only practice, but also our research. And underneath it, we've already got our Code of Human Research Ethics, which you can see there in the pyramid. And now we've got our practice guidelines. So both of those documents are the detailed documents that set out what the main requirements are of psychologists. They're there not just for psychologists, but for the people we work with, the clients, the public, so that they know what to expect from us as well. These are documents that will change more frequently as practice changes, guidelines change, legislative requirements change. So these are the documents that we will be regularly updating as changes occur. So you might be thinking, what's new in this third edition? Well, actually quite a bit. We really focused the content this time on supporting and affirming psychologists in our work. And we've looked at some of the things that we know come up often for us, from feedback that we've had, from things that we know in terms of what's occurring in the outside world, and also from the feedback that our own help desk and ethical helpline get from our members. One of the things is quality and safety of the working environment. We know that that can sometimes be difficult in terms of the different services that our members have to work in, the different settings, the availability of safe, proper working spaces for our members. So we've put in some guidance on that members can refer to. We've also looked at working relationships. We know again that that can be a challenge. There can be a lot of demands on us in practice in terms of who we're working with. It might be multidisciplinary teams, it might be communities, it might be wider organisations, different stakeholders with different views. There might be difficulties within teams, and there can be different pressures on us in organisations. So that again is an area where we know that more guidance is needed. Following the Francis report and the difficulties there in terms of compassionate care and provision of services to members of the public, the duty of candour has been introduced. All the regulators have done that. Our own, the Health and Care Professions Council, has done that, and so have others. So we know that the duty of candour, in other words, when things go wrong, being transparent about that, telling people what's going wrong and dealing with it appropriately is an area of challenge for our members, and we're going to have to provide guidance on that. And the other side of that particular coin also is whistleblowing. So when things go wrong, we know that our members are going to need to be able to speak out, and we need guidance on how to do that safely and appropriately and in the best interests of our clients. Inclusion is a priority for our Society this year. You may know that we've recently launched our Declaration on Equality, Diversity and Inclusion. It's a very important document for the Society. It underpins everything we do, both out there in practice, within the Society, in terms of the people we employ and how we do things. We've reflected that in our practice guidelines. So the practice guidelines now contain information and guidance on cultural difference, faith, religion and spirituality, which we know is a very important area for practice for our clients and also for our practitioners in terms of how to think about faith, religion and spirituality in the way we work. We've introduced guidance on gender and sexual minorities, which builds on some work that the Society has done over quite a number of years in this area, and it mainstreams it in the guidance for our practitioners in what we do. We've also included guidance on working with people who may be socially excluded, which is another area where we're putting quite a lot of our policy focus. Another is working with people who may be vulnerable. You may know that the Society has been doing a lot of work on working with people who are unemployed, who would like to be employed, and how to work ethically and professionally with those populations without putting undue pressure on them and using the right approaches to practice and interventions that are going to be supportive for those populations. Safeguarding is an increasingly important area, and we've included guidance both on vulnerable adults and also working with children and young people, and the important safeguarding obligations that psychologists have. We've introduced guidance on working with cases of historical abuse. We know that this is a topical area. It's an area where increasingly people are approaching psychological services, and we need to know what our different obligations are. And it's a complex area, it's a controversial area potentially, and again we've provided guidance on how to navigate that safely for the benefit of our clients and for wider society. And we've also looked at modern slavery. Again, it's an issue that is very prevalent in society. It's becoming an issue that's going to be very important across particularly healthcare services, and it's something that we need to know about as practitioners in terms of what we need to do. So how was the document developed? Well, the first stage was we developed a working group. We had representatives from the member networks in the society who have practitioner members. That's some of the divisions, the sections and the special groups whose members are in practice. We had representatives from the devolved nations, from Northern Ireland, from Scotland and from Wales, because the legislative requirements and some of the requirements of practice and the way services are delivered are very different, and we wanted to make absolutely sure that we reflected that perspective in our UK-wide guidelines. And we also had representatives from our expert groups. Most of those are under the Professional Practice Board, and they deal with particular areas in the society that are important for practice. We put the document out for consultation. Members may have seen the society-wide consultation that we undertook. We also sent it to the Health and Care Professions Council, who commented on the document in terms of how helpful they thought it would be in making sure that our practitioner members don't have difficulties with regulatory issues and complaints. We sent it to our indemnity insurers for comment to ensure that, again, it was going to be sufficiently robust to protect members who might find themselves in difficulties. We also had comments from relevant trade unions, again, who support members who are in difficulty perhaps with their employer over issues related to practice. And we had comments from experts by experience, and you'll be hearing later on in this video from one of our experts by experience in terms of why they think it's important for how psychologists work with people. After that consultation, we addressed every single point. We had another series of meetings of the working group and additional input from the member networks to fill the gaps that our members had identified in consultation. Finally, the document went out for a legal check so that we were satisfied that all of the work that we'd done on legislation was correct. Finally, the document went to the Professional Practice Board of the Society, whose members agreed the document, and then it was approved by the Board of Trustees. I do hope you find it a valuable document. It will be improved by practice, by your feedback. We will keep it under review, and I commend it to you, and I hope you find it a useful document.